Okay, class, this is the final session for this week and the session that is before your exam. So today I thought what we would do is we would go over some review for the exam coming up next week, which the exam is on September 10th. So make sure you're ready for that. Of course, you can take the exam proctored by your proctor when it's convenient for you and your proctor to get together next week. So make sure you have your proctor all set up for next week too, so that you can take the exam with them. But today we'll go through a study sheet really quick. The study sheet's on Moodle, so you can take a look at that. There's a majority of the things that you would need to know just based on all of the lectures and all the information from lectures would be kind of encapsulated in these study questions on the study guide, and then that would most likely be on the exam. Not saying that everything here is on the exam, and there might be some other things that are on the exam that might not be on the study guide. But if you're paying attention to the lectures and taking notes, reviewing your notes, you shouldn't have any issue with the exam when you take it. So let's just go down briefly here for this video, for this study guide, and look at what might be on the exam. Number one, know what is history. It says the what is history sheet, but all you need to worry about is what is history. Basically, that's from the one of the first lectures, I believe. What is history? We spent a little bit of time talking about evolution, so we know what secular scientists believe, what secular scientists say about early man and prehistory, and most of that is theory. So you might want to know some of the terminology, like hominid, or what is a Homo erectus or Homo sapiens. If you remember back to that lecture, thinking man. So you would just do a quick review of those, jot some notes down on the study guide. Moving on to the early civilizations that we talked about. What is Mesopotamia? What does Mesopotamia mean? And other names for Mesopotamia, such as the Fertile Crescent. What does Fertile Crescent mean? What does the Cradle of Civilization mean? That would be where the civilization began, and many of the innovations of civilization began there. So that's why it's called the Cradle of Civilization. Sumeria was one of the groups that we looked at and talked about early on, one of the first civilizations that we know. And they called themselves something. They were the land of the blank. So you fill in the blank. What were they the land of? And we definitely covered that in the lecture. In the Bible, what is Sumeria known as? What is Sumeria known as? It's in the Bible. What is it known as? I'll give you a hint. It's known as Shinar. Shinar. Shinar is Sumeria in the Bible. It was flooded by two rivers, and that flooding brought great fertile soil, and it did cause problems because they had to deal with the flooding, and they dealt with dug canals, but the rivers flooded. So what were the name of those two rivers? Moving on, what is a ziggurat? A ziggurat, very important to their culture in Mesopotamia. What was it? It was a place that they all kind of congregated about because there were some different things going on there. So make sure you know what was going on at the ziggurat. The Epic of Gilgamesh is something that we looked at briefly, and it tells of the story, the hero Gilgamesh, and it has some similarities with the Great Flood. But why is it that Gilgamesh is there? You know, that the account is there, and the difference is there with why the flood account of Gilgamesh and the flood account of the Bible differ so much. And what are the themes? I'll give you a big hint. Friendship. The story deals with Gilgamesh and his friend and the adventures that they're on. So one of the great themes of the Epic of Gilgamesh is friendship. Just continuing on down the list here, the math system of the Mesopotamians. You would want to make sure you're up to date on the information, or up to knowing the information on the math system of the Mesopotamians. It's not the exact same math system that we have today. It's based on something different. So what is that? Describe the religious system of the Mesopotamians. Obviously, they were polytheistic and they had many, many gods. So make sure you know about that in case you have to explain out the religious system of the Mesopotamians, which was not too long ago in one of the lectures. Who was the most powerful god in Mesopotamia? The Babylonians and the Mesopotamians, they had different gods, and so who was the most powerful god that the Mesopotamians had, and also to the Assyrians? What is the earliest known form of writing? They tried early on with like pictographs, which was pictures. It wasn't really a language; it was kind of like pictures. But then they got into making impressions with a reed in wet clay tablets. Then it hardened, and they basically made a writing system out of that. So the earliest known form of writing is called cuneiform, and so you'll want to know what the earliest form of writing is. Definition of empire, which we just recently went over in a lecture. Who was Sargon? Who was the king of the four quarters? What important things did the king of the four quarters do? That's a big one because of the law system that was enacted. What are some technologies of the Hittites? When was Jerusalem destroyed, and who destroyed Jerusalem? Abraham was from the land of blank, fill in the blank. So where was Abraham from? It's in the Bible, it's in history. Abram, at the time, that was his name. Abraham from the land or the city of Ur, U-R, the city of Ur. Diaspora, what does that mean? The Neo-Babylonians are also known as the blank. So you have to look that up and fill that in. Who was the last king of Judah? What are the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, and who built the Hanging Gardens of Babylon? Looking at the Phoenicians, what are three contributions of the Phoenicians, and what was the earliest dominant city of the Phoenicians? So this is just a brief guide to help you on the exam. The exam is going to be, majority of the exam is multiple choice, and then there's going to be some short answer to fill in, just some short answers, and may even throw on a bonus question there. When I was going to college for my undergraduate and even my master's, I loved it when professors would put on the exam a little bonus question on the bottom, just to help you out a little bit. But usually the bonus questions are some kind of small tidbit of information that was given previously in some lecture that you might not even think would be on a test, but there it is to help you out. So if you pay attention to lectures, then you should do fine. Maybe you'll get the bonus, and you should do fine on the exam. But all exams is just basically giving this information back that you have retained it in your memory, and that you can give it back on a test. That's what it's for. So make sure that you are studying hard for it. This exam is not a real hard, difficult exam. The majority of it's multiple choice, so one of the answers, or the correct answer, is right there on the page for you. You just got to choose it. So rest assured, you'll be fine as long as you put the work in to study and get with your proctor and take the exam. And other than that, that's about it here for the study guide. And I hope you guys study well and have a great day. Take care.